Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Call Me Now with Jake and Rachel. Hello, Jake.
Welcome, everybody. Come on, come all.
Come on, come on to the Jake and Rachel show. Hello. So for today, we were kind of just chatting, and one of the things that we want to talk about was expectations that we put on ourselves and what it does to our mental health. Because Jake and myself, we've been on a journey, Jake longer than me. Well, of I have no idea what I just heard outside of my room. Like some I was like, what? I don't know what it is, if it's a dog, if it's a cat.
You've channeled the fairies, you've called them in.
A channel of the fairies. I have no idea what's going on out there. Anyway, I really don't. Sorry, guys. The expectations that I put on myself that I don't hear voices. So
Ah,
recently I decided, and we kind of talked about this in the last episode, that we were going to have like themes of the year. And my theme for 2024 is to really focus on health and focus on diets and, exercise and things of that nature. Because, I'm getting fearful of, with getting older and, I'm getting, if I start going through menopause or something like that, I get concerns about my hormones and, all that good fun stuff and what it's going to do to my mental health and my body and everything. So about a couple weeks, 2 weeks ago, I stopped drinking Starbucks. And oh, if anyone knows Rachel, obsessed with iced coffee. Like I drink
Mhm.
iced coffee. And the reason why I drink it is because how I drink it is keto. So, and I resonate with the keto diet. Like I find myself full, I find myself I can stay in shape, and that I will say that stopping this has now fucked me up. And like, I can't even tell you guys. I'm snacky. I'm moody. I don't even, and it's not even like I'm craving it. I just feel like
Mhm.
my whole mental health like took a flop. Is that
Mhm.
how and it's like, how can this one thing affect me so much? But Jake, what do you think? I don't know.
Well, it was kind of like what I was just saying, or like we were just
Yeah,
talking about, um, how I've tried several incarnations of trying to give up sugar or trying to dial
sure.
it back in several ways. And I remember a couple years ago, I like cut it cold turkey, cut all
Wow.
sugar out. And that lasted for a solid 2 weeks, and then it absolutely rubber banded back to like I was insatiable for like sugar, insatiable for like starchy foods. Um,
Yes, that's how I'm
a-
feeling.
and it's because like you almost like in a way like you can feel like your brain is getting dry from that like rush that it gets from that like sweetness,
Where's
right?
the dopamine?
I know, and this was like around the same time too that you would see like all of those like fitness journals or like the WebMD or Dr. Oz
Yeah.
talking about like, oh, Splenda, is so bad for you, like long-term effects of it, blah 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 blah. And kind of like what I was just sharing with you is that
Yeah.
like I over my fitness journey and over my nutrition diet journey, whatever you want to call it, I have come to a point where I'm a Truvia gal,
Okay.
personally myself. The flavors just it's a little bit sweeter, but I mean
Yeah.
in a lot of fitness product supplements like my hydration powder that I drink has stevia in it. A lot of protein powders do.
Yeah, they
um,
do.
a lot of granola fitness bars, protein bars, things like that. So I mean, and those are kind of those key things for me that have really helped keep me afloat and stay
Right.
consistent on mine, because I still do Truvia with my coffee, so I'm not having to give that up. I use sugar-free creamer,
Nice.
so it's no sugar into that. It's like half the fat because of it.
Right.
Um, and so I'm using that Trivia because it still tastes good. It still makes me feel good about drinking it, instead of just taking it out or taking anything out of it, and then it
Right.
just feel like a punishment to drink,
I,
you
I
know?
feel I agree with you. And I feel like part of the issues and why I'm having this flip so much in my mental state is that one, I'm like, oh, guess what, guys? I stopped drinking iced coffee because of the Splenda and this and that. And then it's like, if I start drinking it again, then the guilt and the shame that I'll be like, well, I told people and then I couldn't follow through with it. And, and I think that we put so many expectations on ourselves personally of I'm going to start this diet. I'm going to start this exercise plan. And I feel like I'm not doing a 2% incremental step and truly
Mhm.
shifting my path, and maybe I'm being too extreme, and that's not setting me up for success, you
And
know?
I think that, and that's like the all or nothing mentality, right? And I'm
Right.
equally guilty of that. I'll still like every once in a while, like if I fall off from my routine for a little bit, I will jump hard back into it, right? And then I learn that same lesson again. That
Right.
is not the way that you do it, you know.
No.
Um, and I think I'm really big on. I've been really liking seeing online that people are. Have you seen it going around where it's just like trying to romanticize like mundane life, like everyday
Yes.
things.
I
And I
like
think that
that.
this could be a really good point to it too. I mean, here's the thing. I grew up in a town next to the Hudson. So am I worried about Splenda? No, honey, I've got bigger fish to fry.
Jake, it took me guys, he is definitely not worried.
I grew up next to a
Getting this
river
from the river.
that, or worse, I grew up with, there were signs posted out front of the Hudson that said, "Don't go into the water if you're
Don't
pregnant."
breathe the water vapor.
So what the fuck is going to get in me? Um, so that's just what I'm saying. I think that the toxic fumes from the Hudson, I've got bigger fish to fry for me personally. But listen, if you anybody out there that's listening and you have gathered your information and you feel that
Yeah,
Splenda or artificial sweetener is not for you, I love that for
that's
you and I
okay.
envy you.
Yeah,
Um, but you know what? If truth is what gets the job done for me, and I mean, it's similar in a lot of different ways. Like you have to find where you can meet in the middle first with anything,
right.
right? It's like if you're trying to give up starches or if you just found out that you've got a gluten allergy, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Um that's really hard to just rip out of your life too. I mean, if I had to give up gluten, it would be as if someone shot me in the street. I would be remiss if I couldn't have like an Olive Garden breadstick. You know what I mean?
I would
Um,
be remiss if I couldn't eat garlic bread ever again.
this is
I
what
eat
I'm
garlic bread
saying.
like 50 times a week. Like, I love garlic bread.
And it's not like I eat it in excess, like I eat it in my own plan, but
Of
being able
course.
to have that wiggle room, it's
Yeah.
it's just a lot freeing. I think that when you approach wellness and you approach nutrition in like a very like punitive way,
Mhm.
like very punishing or like very like having to be restricted and very regimented about it, no wiggle room. I have come to a place where I've fallen off and gotten up many times
Yeah.
where now I just like I kind of think of it as a wave, think of your journey as a wave. Um
But no,
where
that's
like
a
if you
really good point. Yeah.
where it's just like, you know what, if I fall off, like I'll do something little to just get back on it today. And I'm just mostly because I'm over kicking my own self for falling off in the first place. I'm over feeling guilty about it. We're human beings, I'm no longer interested in, coming down on myself. Um, but isn't that also something interesting? I find myself guilty of it where like we put our own expectations on ourselves or these like really high stakes on ourselves almost as if we think subconsciously everybody else can hear our thoughts. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Where like I will be like, wait, I've got all these rules and I've got all these things that are in place that I'm trying to strive for
Yeah.
and stressing myself out over, but there's nobody else but myself that is even aware of these
Right.
goals, right? So then you're
Right.
just like sitting there plugging away, doing your darndest, but also running yourself into the ground too while you're also trying to grow.
That is such valuable, like, insight. Like, in one, I want to give you credit for the fact that you're removing yourself from the roller coaster of shame and guilt. And
Yeah.
you know what? I'm going to give myself grace. If I need to take a day to just Netflix and chill, then that's what I'm going to do. And maybe tomorrow I'm going to eat jelly beans. I've got a problem right now with jelly beans. And maybe the next day, I'll get back to it. And you're right. I think as humans, we always sometimes we may have the perception that people are always thinking about us but a lot of people aren't. Like it's like it's all in your mind. Like
Oh my God, 100%.
not everyone's staring at you and looking at what you, and I think if anything, people will champion you if you're
Hmm.
saying like, look, I'm trying to achieve this and I may need some support and some encouragement or whatnot. I think more people would rally towards someone who's being authentic in their journey than
Mm,
maybe somebody who's, on Instagram looking like everything's perfect, and those are the people, you know what I mean? It's like, no,
yeah.
let's be authentic in our struggles and in our journey. And this like for Jake. He's taken, you know, steps to say, okay, I understand that this isn't all or nothing. I'm just going to meander with my life, and I'll
Mhm.
try to be the best healthy version of myself. And on days that I'm not, it's okay.
Yeah. If I'm being vulnerable with with the class, I just knocked back a Halo top at like 1 a.m. this morning, you know, and that's just my truth. Am I
Right.
going to bounce back today? Am I still going to my gym routine? Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
And I love
Um,
that. That's amazing. Like you just said, like, there's beauty in the mundane. Like there's
yeah.
beauty in having a routine. And it sounds like that's what's also helped you is that you have a routine. Like, you know, you're going to the gym, you're going to be doing this, you're going to be doing that. And I think that's probably advice for me. It's like, okay, Rachel, maybe you need to develop more of a, you know, routine. That way you get, it's more like, it's more just, okay, this is what I do every day.
Hmm.
I get up, I look at the sun because you got to get that beautiful sun, and I go for a walk. Like maybe that's what I do
Hmm.
and not sleep in.
Absolutely. I saw a really cute it was like a really cute like not a meme, it was just like a post on Facebook like from
Yeah,
one of like the spiritual pages, and it was saying um rest is a necessity,
it
not a
is.
reward.
It's true.
And I thought that was really important because I think it really just speaks to that, you know, nose to the brimstone mentality that we've talked about, you know, that we have to push all the way through this week and then I can rest on Saturday. Or, you
Yes.
know, I have to get everything on my to-do list done today and then I can rest.
Right.
And
Right.
then we just find ourselves never resting because that to-do list extends and it gets built off of. Um, and
Which
so
makes,
it's really up to us, like when are we gonna put our foot down and say, you know what, I have to give myself this because I need it,
I like
you know.
that. And I also think another piece of advice would be to look at things that maybe truly resonate with you. Like, you know, you kind of said in the beginning, like, you know, when all the artificial sweeteners things came out, and, you know, maybe that doesn't resonate with me. Like I've actually been looking up different fitness trainers and, you know, meal plans and
Mm,
exercise plans. And I think I finally have landed on one that talks more about just like doing, you know, non-exercise activity training. Like maybe you stand up from your desk, you know, once an hour and you walk for 5 minutes. Maybe you,
yeah.
when I'm scrolling on my cell phone, maybe I'm walking around, like, you know, and it's more like just, hey, let's do a little bit of shifting. And then that accumulation will lead to a very healthy lifestyle. And
Yeah.
I think like it's not all or nothing. Like remember Beachbody when that was like super popular? I don't know if it's
Oh my
still
God.
like the P90X and the, you know, it's just like,
Yes.
like, you know, like yeah, it's just like, and I even feel like that kind of exercise isn't, I think it's been proven that's not that healthy. Like, you know, it's killing your body. Like, let's talk about running. I remember, so I'm a registered nurse, and when I went through anatomy and physiology, the professor was like, you know, as runners, like your kidneys drop. Like it's not that safe. Like it hurts your knees, it hurts your joints. You can walk and still get the same benefits. Like,
Yeah. It's all about like, I think it's all about like the end goal, I think for
yeah,
myself personally is just to at least like find all the little tools, gather as much information as I
yeah,
can, and find the things that work for me in my body, right? Like
I love that.
I'm no stranger. I've bought several different workout plans that I still look back at too and I'll reference if I need, you know, if I feel like I want to switch it up.
Yeah,
But ultimately I will pick and choose the workouts, or I'll pick and choose the activities that I feel work for me or that I feel best doing, you know. And if it is walking, that's beautiful. You can
yeah.
do so much in a fitness and in a healthy lifestyle journey by simply walking, you know. Um
And I really like a point you just made was that you listen to what you put into your body.
mm,
So, and maybe like, maybe for me, like I know that I used to be able to eat dairy and now it makes me sick. So it's like,
mm.
listen to the things that are put into your body. And maybe for my body, Splenda is okay.
Right, that's what I and that's like what I'm saying here is if you're trying to hold yourself to a 30-day challenge or something and it feels like it is strenuous to
Yes.
push yourself through it from beginning to end,
Hmm.
break it up a little bit, modify it so it's comfortable for you, so it's fun. You
Right.
know, if nutrition, wellness, anything, whether it's trying to start a hobby, learning something, it should be fun for you. And it's completely fine to find a balance between like discipline and enjoyment, you know?
Yes. And also, like, what you just said too, like, there is going to require a little bit of discipline. Like,
Yeah.
there are going to be some choices that you're going to have to look within and say, what is it that I truly desire? Like for me, I just want more energy. Like I
Mhm.
want to have more energy and I want to be able to have healthy bones. Like that's, because I feel like having healthy bones will lead to, I'm, just get nervous about, guys, this is a weird thought process I'm going here. I get nervous about fractures or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't
I
know.
mean, listen, that's a very
So no, as an
real
aging
concern.
woman, like and I want to have a strong system. It's not necessarily about being the super skinny. It's more about I want to be strong and I want to have energy,
Yeah.
So that doesn't necessarily mean that I need to fast for 27 hours, and
Mhm.
starve myself. And then, I think I need to be more discerning and have maybe just also a little bit grace with discipline about what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah. I mean, it's really just about like finding what it is that you're looking for in your body. For
Yeah.
me, a big part of my thing is that I work a desk job where I'm sitting so often. And
Yes.
I really, about a year and a half ago, started feeling like it hurts your knees
It
to be
does.
sitting down, even in a chair, really impacts your knees. And even like the lower back, shoulders,
Yeah.
posture, all of that stuff. And so I started doing weight training because that's something that I enjoy doing.
Yeah, that's good.
Um, and I've started to feel the difference, and I feel like it has started to kind of correct the pain and things like that. So it's really meeting your needs, peeps.
It is.
Meeting your needs.
It's so true. I will say that. So I've been following, I think his name is Dave Apry, and then there's another lady, Shailene Johnson, who used to be a Beachbody coach, but now she's not.
Mhm.
And what he talks about is like, the light from our monitors and how that affects our eyesight. And so I've changed
Mhm.
my lighting settings even on my monitors to night light instead of getting the blue light.
Yes.
Maybe having a standing desk or getting up from your desk every once an hour and walk around for 5 minutes. And because we're not meant to be sitting down. And
Hmm.
I, like you, also have a desk job. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, like, just because you've been staring at the computer plugging
Yeah.
away and you're like, oh my goodness, like this is not like good,
Yeah.
and then like wearing a sleep mask at nighttime and making sure to block out any additional light. Like there's so many, like, I think cool hacks that we can
Hmm.
all do. And if anyone has any like tips or comments, like please put it in the comments below, just because I'd be really interested to see what other people are doing.
Yeah.
Like I really want to get a walking pad. Like I like to get a walking pad for my office or for like my
Oh, for
house.
like while you're sitting.
Yeah. And just be like,
Oh
or even
yeah.
like I'm standing up, like, hello, come on in. Like,
Oh yes. Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've been
yeah,
seeing
just
that
like
going around. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think it'd be kind of fun. And then I was thinking about getting like because I'm not sure if I could get a standing desk, but I was thinking about getting one of those risers to like rise up my monitor and stuff. So then
Hmm.
that way I could, if I wanted to stand up, like even if I could do a half an hour, it's more than what I was doing the day before.
Yeah, I'm split in between. I keep telling myself that I'll buy like one of those like adjustments. It's like
Yes, like you
an
just
add-on
like even
standing
right
desk
now, like
thing.
I feel like I could if I could just raise up my desk, I could stand up while we're doing this and be like, so tell me
Yes.
about what's going on. And I
Yes,
think
because it just feels
overall,
nice.
yeah, and I think overall it would help probably your mental state and it would help. I know it would help when I'm more active. I definitely have a much better mental, state of mind. Like I'm more happy, I'm positive, I'm more energetic. Like I'm not like killing like I'm not down on myself more, if that makes sense. Like I'm not like, oh
Yeah.
Rachel, put that candy down. Like because I won't be eating it. I don't crave it then.
Yeah. Well,
Isn't
for
that
me, like,
weird?
no, I don't think it's weird. Like, I mean, me, I don't necessarily like. It's funny because, like, as somebody who lives with ADHD, when I'm
Hmm.
sitting for such a long time,
Mm,
I get this overwhelming agitation that
like
just like
annoyance.
annoyance, like a caged
Wow.
animal that has been shaken around. Yes. And
Oh,
so, and I really have found benefit by just like, I will simply just like walk on a treadmill or I'll walk for like 30 minutes a couple times a week
I
and
love
being able
that.
to like move my body. It's almost like breaking free from the chain that is an office chair. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
You
listen,
got to
it's not
release
that you're,
that energy. You've got to move that
yes.
energy out. You don't want that
And
agitation to be stuck on you. And then the next day you're like, ah.
Exactly. And I even like appreciate, I like things like Tai Chi, for people who maybe it's hard to
Qigong.
stand for
Yeah.
extended periods of time, things that you could do seated. Yeah, like those mindful
Chair
physical
yoga.
movements,
Yeah.
yes, um, are super, super helpful. I used to always like giggle at them thinking that like, oh, I couldn't appreciate it then.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing, as the years go on,
It's
the
interesting how
benefit.
things that we thought were like, ah, and now we're like, yes, sign me up.
And you know what?
Sign
It is,
me up.
I think in many ways, like maybe I was supposed to have that journey. Maybe I was supposed to have trial and error all that time. Um, because I mean, it is what it is. It happens all across the board too. You at certain periods of your life, you can be told something, but you can't hear it.
Oh,
And
yes. That is so true. Like, even like us as spiritual practitioners, things that
yeah,
I've maybe have learned and now I'm relearning. I'm just like, oh, wow, that's such a
hmm
different viewpoint. But it's because we've aged and had experiences and moments. And, with life experiences, obviously our viewpoint is going to shift and
yeah,
expand, hopefully, not
yeah.
narrow.
I'm looking to narrow it down.
All right, guys, I want to. Well, according to my design life design, I prefer narrow valleys. So I need to narrow it in.
Wait, narrow valleys like
I don't know what it
traversing.
means. Don't ask me.
Okay, okay.
Like, it's I don't know what it is. Like, maybe a narrow valley. I'll have to speak with that
I
gentleman
wonder if
again.
I wonder if it means like, do you like cozy rooms or things like that, or do you like big open rooms?
No, thank you. That's why Jake is the best. Cozy rooms. Like, I definitely I get overwhelmed in very large spaces.
Yeah,
So even though I don't want to be locked in or closed in because I don't want to feel claustrophobic, but I like, yeah, if I go into like concerts overwhelm me. Going
yeah.
into a big event, I'm like, okay,
It's too much space.
a
Yeah.
little too much, guys. It's not you, it's the space.
And then, but there's plenty of people, I'm sure there's plenty of people listening that are the exact opposite, where
Yes,
they want like an open field. They want the
yes.
super Walmart. Uh,
Just
you
hearing
know,
it, I'm like, yeah, go you. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
Anything else you want to add in about the expectations that we put on ourselves?
um, they are BS,
Yeah.
and you have to be kinder to yourself. And I think, and here's something personally that I've been doing with myself
Sure.
as somebody who is introverted. So I
Mm.
like this, self narrative. I work through things on my own in the privacy of my own like home sometimes, in the places that bring me joy, like
Mhm.
the gym or like here at home or, in my reading space. I have made it my mission to make sure that I am not giving gas to a fire that is like a destructive narrative or a criticism narrative. Um, I read something months ago where it was like the world's too harsh. You need a soft space to just be in. You
Yeah.
know, a place where you can just have your four walls of safety, your
Yeah.
things that you love to do, your books, your reading, your crochet, your art, whatever it is. And when you're in that space, you have to create that energy for yourself too. Make sure that we're not just fostering an isolation shack where we get to just come down on ourselves, and it's real because I would do it.
Yeah.
I'm no stranger to that. So I think
Shipping.
you just have to find more ways to giggle at yourself and to kind of laugh off the dark.
I really like that. And it sounds like, instead of embracing the rough edges, be okay with the soft. Be okay with the
Absolutely.
cozy, be okay with the soft. And, for me, things that I've started doing recently, I always sing in my car and don't listen to me because I have a terrible voice,
Yeah.
but it brings me joy. Like, it pumps me up. It makes me feel
Yeah.
happy, and I think finding the little things that bring you joy, and
Mhm.
then ultimately, and again, those small steps, 2% action instead of can't go all the way in because then we have a drop off and then you're back to shame and blame. And I think that's really tough on people. It's tough on me.
Absolutely.
100%. This last 2 weeks has been interesting. So
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see when we meet again. And I'm like, guess what, everyone?
I am changed, born again.
What?
Uh, um,
Back on the sauce.
But yeah, I just think that, I mean, just at least speaking from my perspective,
Yeah.
I've been there, done that with being
Yes.
very rigid, very
Yes.
too structured, very too serious, too
Yes.
tough, about anything,
Yes.
especially on the self-care front, not, being so receptive to being a little bit more softer and cushier for yourself. And
I like
honestly,
that.
in the last year, I have found so much more resolve and so much
Mm,
more personal strength, confidence, whatever that is,
yeah.
by being soft,
I like
by
that.
softening myself. Um,
Yeah. We don't always
you
have
could
to be so
s-
tough.
no,
And we don't have to be so, and I think the other thing is leave room for flexibility.
yeah,
Things can shift and it's okay. Allow the universe to respond in kind with the energy that you're putting out. That's
exactly.
asking for the softness,
Because that's your truth. Your
right?
truth is that you need the softness, and when you ignore it and when you push it off, you begin to resent it. You resent your path. And that, just creates a whole wagon wheel Watusi. We could get into that another time.
I
Uh
love that. Well, Jake, so I can't wait till we get our cozy pillows, and I hope that you have a great day.
yes, everyone, stay cozy.
Stay